for my channel, The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera, and today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite childhood series, as well as its 2 spin-off movies. That show would be Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which ran for 7 seasons from 1996 to 2003, and starred Melissa Joan Hart, Beth Broderick, Caroline Rhea, Nick Bouquet as the voice of the cat Salem Saberhagen, Nate Richard, Elisa Donovan, Soleil Moon Frye, David Lasher, Martin Mull, amongst many, many others. The spin-off movies that I shall also be reviewing are Sabrina Goes to Rome and Sabrina Down Under. And there's actually another film that came before the show, but I've never seen it and I will not review it because it apparently has another canon than that one to the original show, especially the first episode of season 1. So I didn't want to get all my canon timelines confused and stuff. And well, before I begin, let me just say that this will be a video with mild spoilers, so beware. Okay, so growing up, I loved watching stuff from Nickelodeon. I loved the Thornberrys, the Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Ginger, Rocco, and many, many more. I didn't see as many shows with real people. They were almost always cartoons. But I do recall I liked Clarice Explains It All, Kenan and Kel, but most of all Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I think it was like my favorite series as a kid with humans. And I remember that whenever they announced on Nickelodeon that they were gonna show the spin-off movies, I would like get really excited and feel like it was like the highlight of my week. And well, many, many, many years later, I remember that I liked Sabrina, but it'd been so long since I last seen it, and I was never certain if I'd seen the whole show or not. But I did know how it ended, but that was about it. And occasionally I would learn that the cast had reunited and I would find that cool. And then I learned that Netflix was gonna make The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and that this was actually a more faithful version to the Archie comics that inspired this story than the one from the 90s. But I'm never gonna see The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina because, one, I would get scared really easily and I have no interest in all the stuff that appears to be in them. And also I'm a Christian, so I don't want to mess up with all of that. Anyways, the reason why I decided to rewatch Sabrina the Teenage Witch was because I recently this year saw The Nanny, and that was another show that I loved when I was a kid from the 90s. So I was just like, I really wanted to see this show, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I got the app for Paramount, and they had this whole 7 seasons. So I got really excited, and I at once watched them and binge watched them in like, I don't know, I just devoured them. And I of course also saw the movies because I needed to review them as well. Okay, so the story begins when Sabrina Spellman turns 16 years old and discovers that she is a witch. Sabrina lives with her 2 maiden aunts, who are also witches. Sabrina is sent to her aunts so that they can teach her how to use and control her powers, and they also live with Salem Saberhagen, a man who tried to control the world and was thus sentenced to spend 100 years as a cat. He's a great character and is always stealing the scenes, and he's like the sidekick of Sabrina. So yeah, in the early seasons we follow Sabrina as she goes through high school, falls in love for the first time with Harvey Kinkle, makes friends and enemies, but most of all learns how to be a witch. At her house, they have this magical portal through a linen closet that allows them to access the other realm, which is like a subaltern reality where witches live out in the open. And in all the episodes, we get to see Sabrina trying to do magic to make her life easier or solve some problems, even as she tries to hide from her friends that she's a witch. In the middle seasons, we see her doing all of this, except now she's in college. And then in the last season, she starts her first job as a journalist, is living at her aunt's house with her roommates from college, and is still dating and falling in love and having her heart broken or breaking hearts herself. Okay, well, this show has its flaws, and it's not just perfect masterpiece like The Crown or Breaking Bad or as endearing as Gilmore Girls. I still really loved it, and I will give it a 5 out of 5 stars review. Why? Well, for several reasons. Sure, because of the nostalgia of having loved it as a child, but also because I loved it just as much as an adult. Also, it was a bit of a surreal experience to see it, because while I recalled every single episode of the first season pretty well, I don't think I'd ever seen the seasons after Sabrina graduates from high school. So it was in a way like rewatching a beloved classic, and yet I was also seeing a lot of it for the first time ever. I think it is also great to see a show that was innocent, family-oriented, and had such a positive, healthy protagonist, because Sabrina is a great role model for younger generations. Down to earth, feminine, strong, brave, fragile, smart, determined, and she ended up studying journalism, and I'm a journalist. So it was awesome to see her going through what I have lived, both at university and working for a magazine. There were some things that bothered me a little, like the way they avoided dealing with Sabrina's breakups and healing process, cause boom, in one episode she breaks up with her boyfriend of 4 years, and then we meet her months later when she's over the whole grieving period. And the same thing happened later on with the same character. He tells her that he loves her and she doesn't seem to hear him because it's not mentioned in like forever. And even her whole relationship with the man she gets engaged to. In one episode they meet, in the next they're dating, then the following one they are telling each other that they love each other, and in 2 more or so they're engaged. So it all felt a bit too rushed and unrealistic. There was no time for that relationship to really grow and for me to empathize with her suitor. Still, one great thing about the show was its guest stars. Tons of celebrities were on it, and some of them were not very famous when they appeared. Some of them would be Bryan Cranston, Britney Spears, Raquel Welch, Dick Van Dyke, Simon Helberg, Paula Abdul, Usher, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Brian Austin, Sophia Bush, Jerry Springer, Avril Lavigne, and Milo Ventimiglia. Finally, as a spin-off films, I must confess that I didn't enjoy them as much as the series at this time, though they were still cute. But it was just weird not to see Harvey, Selden, Hilda, or hear Sabrina talk much about them. Plus, since those trips are never mentioned on the show, they're not really that canon-based. Which sort of reminds me that it also took me a while to accept the idea and look of Sabrina in college living away from her aunts. But then I really liked those more mature seasons too, and the same thing happened in the last seasons where Hilda and Zelda don't appear. It was sad not to see them, but it was sort of understandable. If they ever make a sequel series or a film about this show, I will of course be watching it. And here I'm talking about one where Melissa Joan Hart would reprise her role as Sabrina. But yeah, until then I believe that this is all I have to say about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Thanks so much for watching my review of this series. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you liked it or not, as well as what are your own thoughts regarding this show, the characters, the plot, or anything that's relevant, because I would love to talk about it all with you. Also, in the description box below, you can find a link to both spin-off movies IMDb page, as well as the IMDb page for this show. And well, I'm Caro Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care, and goodbye!